So guys, for this episode, I'm going to talk about the evolution of copy at a very specific part of the sales pitch. And hopefully you'll find it useful. But Lorenzo has done something very different in this episode. He's actually going to show us the process, the actual process he uses to understand through research where the opportunity is. Stick around and you're going to learn a lot of interesting things. Hey guys, so excited to have you guys back. And Lorenzo, are you doing well? Are you enjoying your summer holidays?
Well, yeah, more like staying in Italy rather than holidays.
Yeah, still, it's still better than being in London right now. So, we are going to actually cover Solawave. Solawave. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's this very interesting kind of category of DTC products that are in the beauty space, but they're electronic products. So I actually think that their form factor is very clever. I really think it's a very interesting form factor, which is why I originally found them quite interesting. But what we decided to do for this episode was standard process. We will work on study the page and see how we would come up with new ideas. And I don't want to give away anything, but I know Lorenzo has done something slightly different this time. And
completely different, I would say.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And that's good because even I have done something completely different. So I'm going to just talk about the layout of the page. So, this is a product, a medical device product, and that you apply to your face. It's a face product, and that makes you young, beautiful, and costs only $149. And here they are showing all the things it does, and I'll talk about this a little more. Then there's a description over here, pretty short description, pretty standard description. Here they have just basic details about the various functions that they have. Then there's how to use. And they're also doing a little bit of upsells of their creams and their serums as well. But essentially, the person who's new to this website probably will want to just purchase this product. I think those other products are things that I would buy once I've made a purchase and tried it and said, okay, this works. And these are the key attributes. To me, this is the center of gravity for the page, right? This is what they're selling me on. And then they have before after pictures. They actually might not be sure over here, but I don't know if maybe on mobile. Yeah, so they do have this floating tab, which I think is a good idea. If you have a central asset, and this is just a good marketing rule, stop deluding yourself into believing that everything on your website is equally important. It's not. There are certain things that are way more important than other things. And to me, there is no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Before and after, Lorenzo's talked a lot about this, show, don't tell, right? If you can show something, show it. I think these are very, very important elements. Now let's talk about how we would go about improving the page. So for this episode, what I've decided to do is just focus on this part of the copy. And what I've done is it's much larger over here. I'm actually showing the copy over here. This is the control. And what I'm going to focus in on is something that I call the art of the start. So one of the mistakes that we make as marketers is we say, hey, I have this page and I'm going to improve this whole page. The thing is that if you look at conversions are like a chain. And if any of the links of that chain are broken, people are going to drop off. But the start of that chain, like the start of the sales pitch, is the most important. If you have a presentation where in minute number 45, you're giving something information that is going to just change someone's mind. And if your first 5 minutes are boring, it's of totally no use because nobody's going to wait for that 45-minute mark, right? So the start is the most important. And the start could be the images, certainly. But I don't control the images. I do control the copy over here. And so to me, this is my make or break for the sales pitch. So I looked at what they had, and I'll just read it out really quickly. The award-winning advanced skincare wand that combines 4 powerful skincare technologies for the ultimate at-home spa facial, reduce the appearance of wrinkles, face fine lines, dark circles, blemishes, dark spots, depuff and energize the skin in as little as 5 minutes per day, 3 times per week. It's portable and rechargeable for easy travel, so you can take it anywhere, ships with charging cable. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with this, but this is the kind of copy that one would create where the CEO says, I want to cover all the points. Like we have 3 sentences, we have to cover all the points. And I thought to myself, okay, how would I, if I was working on this brand, how would I actually work on the copy? Now, the challenge is that I still have to work within this copy length. So I had to make some trade-offs. And this is why testing is so important, because what testing is going to show you is if the trade-off you made is making sense or not. So I have 3 different copy directions. In my first one, the general theme is technology and investing in ourselves. I wanted to play this idea of investing in ourselves. So here's what I did. Just 10 years ago, the technology didn't exist that could fit into a device this size. So I'm just trying to draw a contrast with the past. And then I said, to further dramatize this point, I said, forget a device this size. 10 years ago, this technology wasn't even available at the doctor's office. Because I want to let people know that, you're living in a magical time, right? And then I said this, our face is our most identifiable feature. So I'm basically saying in your entire body, now what's interesting is that, we talk about competition, like you're competing against other brands. Actually, you're competing against different body organs, right? I need to convince this person that forget about taking care of your belly, forget about taking care of your legs. It's your face that matters the most. So our face is our most identifiable feature. And as far as we're concerned, investing a minuscule 5 minutes a day into taking care of ourselves is the best use of time. So here I'm trying to dramatize the fact that I'm intentionally using a word like minuscule because I'm almost like complaining to the buyer that, are you complaining about 5 minutes of investment? And then over here I say, your one does 4 things with 4 things for you. We explain that next. So here what I've done is I've converted this into an anchor link. And my whole idea is that if we have already established that this is the center of gravity of my page, then my job is to make sure 80% of people who come to this page scroll down here. So right now, the user might get distracted by details. They might kind of get distracted by images. And I want to make sure if someone is reading the description, that this description has no conclusion except to get people to this part. So that was my first copy direction. Lorenzo, if you're okay, I can move on to the second and third one.
Yeah, the thing I also noticed, if you scroll all the way up, where
on the page,
on the product page, right below the product name, it says the award-winning advanced skincare wand combines 4 powerful skincare technologies, and then he leaves me hanging. Where are they? So I didn't do any idea, in this episode, because my approach was completely different. But I noticed that I'm like, needed a anchor link right there that scrolls people down where those technologies are explained.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Also, now that I'm looking at it, I'm realizing that they've repeated this exact same sentence as the opening of this. In a world where the user is, every word is a tax, I feel maybe it was, sometimes it's a good call, sometimes it's not. I just hope that they were aware of the fact that they're repeating it. And that's, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. And so, when you click on, we explain that next, we scroll you down to the section. I've shown the mobile screenshot. So I'm going to now quickly cover my second idea, my second direction, my third direction very quickly as well. Oh, actually I have 4. So in this treatment, I'm focused on talking about we are using a different way. So to essentially to distance ourselves from competitors. And I want to talk about the miracle of nature. So the copy says, some obsess over going to the gym. So I'm saying some consumers want to go to the gym. For some people, it's plastic surgery. We believe there is a different way. So this is intentionally put in a way, now you have to read more to understand what this different way is, right? So it's, then we say our bodies are naturally healing miracles of nature. So I want to kind of really make the body stand out like this amazing thing. Human skin repairs itself slowly. So I'm trying to show like, okay, while it's a miracle of nature, the human skin repairs itself. By the way, I want to clarify, all of these drafts that you're seeing, guys, keep in mind, these are very early rough drafts. I would never run a test with this. I just wanted to put down some of my thoughts so I could show you how I approach different openings. So you can then polish it. This is very, very crude copy.
It's like if Leonardo da Vinci were to create a new amazing statue, during his time, this would be like the first big block. Like he wouldn't even freaking touch anything, right?
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. So then I say, human skin repairs itself very slowly. In contrast, a salamander can readily grow a severed limb. The spiny mouse can has densely head skin that heals with remarkable speed, and the skin of human embryo can regenerate, blah, 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 blah. So now what I'm doing over here, I'm trying to draw a contrast with how in nature, actually, there are many cases where it can repair very fast. And then I'm kind of making the science argument. So I say, by studying these examples, scientists are finding clues for how to enhance skin healing through a more regenerative response. So again, I'm not actually even talking about the product. I'm actually talking about the problem, because the user cares about the problem, right? So that was my second direction. In the third direction over here, notice something interesting. So I'm saying, what you're looking at is the result of pure scientific research that involves multiple disciplines. So I'm basically saying lots and different disciplines have come together. The medical study of science of aging, NASA's space program, and biochemistry. These are terms that average consumers don't understand, but they know that they're like, I hear the word NASA, I know there's some smart guys there, right? Many things had to be invented. So I'm basically saying, in order for this wand to become a reality, we had to actually invent stuff. Many things had to be invented for this wand to become commercially viable for under 250. Notice what I did over here. I'm doing price anchoring. I've said for under 250, even though their price point is 150, right? Yeah. I'm making the perception feel like it's actually $250 worth of stuff. And then it says in a very conversational way, but let me ask, have you ever used red light therapy or microcurrent therapy? And here we're using active participation, because if someone says no, then maybe the rest of the sales pitches needs to be more educational and talking about those technologies, and to say yes, we can talk about some other attributes.
Can you spend 30 seconds explaining what active participation is for the people that are watching us for the first time?
Yeah. So the basic idea of active participation, the basic fundamental flaw with product pages is that we are giving the exact same sales pitch on the product page, no matter where you're coming from, who you are, what stage of the buying cycle you're in, right? It's just, if you were to go to this URL, you would see exactly the same sales pitch. And active participation is a mechanism that allows us to personalize our sales pitch based on what is relevant or persuasive to a certain type of buyer. So here, by asking yes or no, it's a very simple interaction, but we are allowing the user to basically tell us if they, imagine if I had a retail store and a customer walked in and they were like, I've never used red light therapy before, I would naturally give them a different sales pitch. But we don't do that for e-commerce. And I think both Lorenzo and I agree that this is a huge opportunity for e-commerce to massively scale conversion rates.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of episodes in our YouTube channel around that. We'll put the link in the notes. Rishi also wrote extensively about this approach on his blog, and we'll put a link to that as well.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And then the fourth copy direction is here we're trying to make the visitors feel lucky that they've stumbled onto something rare. And then we're also using priming technique. So what I did over here was I said every month there are 7.6 million Google searches for breakthrough skincare products. Only 1.3% discovered this page. So basically, I'm trying to say you're a lucky bugger that you found us. It's hard to explain. Now, one of the challenges that we have on product pages is that, if people are going to spend 10 seconds, the probability of them converting is very low. If I can get them to spend 3 minutes, then the probability goes up. So I'm using a priming technique here. And what I do is I say, it's hard to explain in 30 seconds how this technology will change your life. But if you are willing to stay for 3 minutes, we promise to make this worth your time. And we've given now thumbs up and thumbs down. Almost everyone is going to click on thumbs up, right? But what they have done by doing that is they've actually sent a signal to themselves that says, I think spending 3 minutes to figure this out is important. And my bet is that more people will spend time on the page and thus they will convert. So the basic idea here is I did this very quickly. It took me maybe just an hour, maybe less than an hour to put these 4 copy directions together. So please don't look at this as like, oh, Rishi's saying we have to use the exact copy, but you'll notice clearly that each of the four openings are focusing on emphasizing different attributes. And this is really important for me as a marketer. I want to understand what is my buyer resonating with the most, right? If I don't know that, then everything else is irrelevant. I mean, for example, if I were to discover, I want to make a very important point. If I want to discover this therapeutic warmth is something nobody gives a shit about, I don't see the sense of talking about this extensively. So, but if I don't know that, I have to talk about 4 attributes with equal importance because I don't know what's important. So by focusing on these interesting openings, you're actually learning fundamental truths about what makes your buyer buy. I'm done.
Yeah.
On to you, my friend.
The way to think about what you just said is, you know, when you come up with like a bunch of ideas, at least in my approach, when I come up with a bunch of ideas based on research, there has to be like a sort of prioritization in order to decide which idea to explore first, right? What Rishi is talking about is the same approach. There is like, you know, 10 things on a page that are important. We need to figure out which ones are the most important. So we give priority in terms of how prominent those things and how even often those things are shown on the page.
But I want to mention over here, this, I think people understand the first part. They don't understand the second part of this, which is you also need to have the courage to eliminate shit that you feel is not important. This is why we test. If a client comes to you and says, you know, the heating technology is something that I really think is important. Well, that's why we're testing. We want to see if you might think it's important, but do credit card carrying consumers think it's important? And so it's real. I think the mistake the marketers make is that they are good at prioritizing the page to make important stuff go on top. They are good at knowing what's important, but they really suck at removing stuff because they feel like, oh, what do we lose? You know, it's just words. No, every word is a damn tax, right? So remove stuff.
They're afraid that removing, oh my God, you know, but actually it communicates a learning that if you remove it, nothing happens. Well, it was just like an extra element that was present. That was just like making the page crowded.
Yep.
Cool. So as I said earlier, today's episode for me is a little bit different because I did not come up with an output, right? Usually I just come up with a bunch of ideas based on the customer research analysis I do when I analyze the customer reviews. What today I'm going to do is actually looking at the data, looking at the voice of the customer that I found for free without obviously asking this brand because they're not our clients. So I'm going to share my screen so I can show a little bit what I've done. So I put together a list of 10 voice of the customer examples coming straight from the user, right? And I looked at like 3 main, I would say, type of data. I looked at customer reviews straight from the product page. I looked at Reddit conversations, and I looked at YouTube comments of videos from influencers that actually have not been paid. And the reason why I know they've not been paid is because they not always talk amazingly about this product, right? That's how you know that they haven't been paid. So let's talk about the first one, which comes from customer review. I'm just going to talk about the part that has been highlighted. I'll read it out loud. I decided to purchase these because I was interested in getting facial treatments to improve the unevenness of my skin. But you have to continue those treatments to keep your results, which at $75 and up is extremely expensive. So what this review is telling me is that Solawave might be competing with facial treatments, right? Who would have never thought? You would have thought that maybe these guys are competing against a very similar device, right? But no, sounds from this voice of the customer is that they're competing against facial treatments that you go to like a clinic, like an offline clinic, right? The second one, still from customer review. I honestly can be a little skeptical, keyword that both Rishi and I love, of products that seem to constantly have positive reviews. Could something really be that good? Question mark. And I really love this one, right? Because now what's happening is that, people look at positive reviews, but what this person is saying, like, oh, there are way too many positive reviews. Something is dodgy about this, right? So now there's an objection that the user is raising about too many positive reviews. So the question I had is, well, how are we going to handle that objection coming from that voice of the customer with the experimentation and testing, right? The third one comes from a YouTube comment. I put it here in the link. You guys are going to be able to get access to both Rishi and I's documents that we share in the meeting notes, in the episode notes. This one says that would be intriguing to follow the impact of this product during the months, just to see any kind of progress. So what this person is referring to is, in that YouTube channel, that YouTube video, the influencer showed the results after like only a few days, basically, how her skin looked like before she applied the device to her skin, and maybe like after 2 or 3 days, right? Now, what this person is saying is that she has some sort of like skepticism about the before and after images that this influencer showed, because she would love to see how the same product performs in the longer run, rather than just a couple of days. So the question I put here is, will the product performance last in the longer run rather than just for a couple of days, right? Super valid objection right there, right? Now let's go to the fourth one. Again, still from YouTube comment here. This person says, we'd love to see 1 month update. That's really the only way to tell for sure whether it's worth it. Again, same sort of like pattern of the comment I shared earlier. People might be skeptical of seeing a before and after image just a few days after applying the device. They want to know if in the long term the product is gonna still deliver results, right?
Let me ask you a quick question, just so I have some context. So with a review like this, what is the action item as a testing person? How would you how do you approach like using this insight?
This is actually part of the bonus, especially about this example in particular. The bonus is all about, okay, now we have this potential objection of, I don't believe that this product is going to have the same effect in the long run. And the solution I come up with is in the bonus, basically. So maybe we can pick the following one as an example on what I would do in order to tackle the insight covered there. So again, still YouTube comment says, I would love to see 1 month update of continued use. This is like, okay, now we're seeing a big pattern of people being skeptical about only few days of results. But then here again, it says $150 for improved skin seems good to me. One facial can run that much. Again, same pattern of before, then now they're comparing the device to a facial treatment, right? And to kind of like answer your previous question about, okay, fantastic, now we know that they might be comparing this device to a facial treatment that they get offline. Well, now I have a bunch of kind of like paths that I can take in order to, because this person is telling us that she is considering the product versus going to the offline facial clinic. I don't know how it's called in the kind of like professional term, but now there's a way to position how this is going to be much more affordable, for example, than going to the clinic where one only treatment costs $75, right? Next one, this comes from a Reddit comment, and it says, my boyfriends, and this is actually very interesting. It's actually my favorite one, because I would have never come up with this kind of like sort of of voice of the customer. My boyfriends didn't turn on immediately, so he didn't try this immediately, but realized it's because you need to use some hydrating serum, moisturizer, or gel. Once I put that on, his face worked fine. So now what this person is telling you is when the boyfriend first started using it, he was not educated about how to best get results from the product, right? Now, the question I have is, how is this brand doing a good job at educating the user during the kind of like decision-making process on the product page, but also after, to best succeed with the product? Because imagine if the boyfriend never used the gel, right? All of a sudden, he's like, wow, this product is shit. It's not working for me, right? And at the end of the day, the satisfaction comes from how successful the user is at using the product. But if the brand is not putting the user towards the path to success, I'm not gonna get the results, right? Next one, still from YouTube. This is a reply from the brand in relation to a question that somebody in the YouTube comments had around, well, where are the scientific proofs around, you know, how useful this device is, right? So this, you know, the brand answered, you'd be interested in seeing our scientific documentation, the third-party analysis of the technology, and the clinical studies. We would love to connect, right? And to me, this sounds like, well, we're gonna show this to you kind of like behind the scene, rather than like being completely transparent upfront about this, right? And then again, it says, we hear your feedback loud and clear, and we'll pass it along to our engineering team as we finalize our next upgraded model.
I want to actually make a comment over here. This is very interesting because this is copywriting. So, you know, if they had said, we hear, you know, we've received your feedback and we'll pass it along to our engineering team, that would be very ineffective. That would actually be, I would not believe it at all. So one of the things to keep in mind with copywriting is that there are certain terms that are so overused that the consumer actually doesn't pay much value to it. So this idea of like, you know, on Twitter, you'll see this a lot. Brands will like immediately message and say, you know, if you have an issue with the airline, they'll say, you know, please DM us and we'll solve it. You know, it's basically just a template, right? And and consumers discount that. But notice the fact that they made it actually more wordy than needed. They said loud and clear. They've gone into an unnecessary extra effort, which actually shows to me authenticity. And then they said, you know, pass it along to our engineering team as we finalize our next upgraded model. This actually is interesting as well, because it tells me that there's, you know, that something very interesting is happening down the road as well.
Yeah, and this actually could backfire, right?
Yeah, because they won't buy this model. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially,
that's a very good point.
A lot of people watch that YouTube video before making the purchase.
No, I thought that the loud and clear is very, very important, because anytime you're communicating with the buyer, you want to always make the buyer feel like you are being genuine, because the moment they don't sense you as being genuine, then they don't buy.
Yep. My kind of thought in question I have around this statement that again comes straight from the company is, why hiding scientific studies and third-party analysis about the results and just saying, hey, reach out to me if you want to see them, right? They do have a section on the website where they show off the scientific studies and the third-party analysis they've done. So to me, it's like, link to that, you know, page, because there's a lot of juicy stuff. And you know, this is kind of like a, you know, another comment I had is, well, if scientific studies and third-party analysis are important in the decision-making process, well, my next question is, I wonder how many people actually see that page where they talk about it, right? The next one is from Reddit. I haven't been consistent, right, at using the product. I need to try to make a habit of using it every night. And this to me is extremely, extremely interesting because it talks about the way she's consuming the product, right? Now that question, when I saw that comment, my question, the two questions I had were, how does creating a habit of using the product make more happy customers? Because maybe my hypothesis is if a lot of people start developing the habit of using the product, the more results that they get, right? And then if so, how can we help customers stick with the habit, right? Now, as a company that sells a product that is consumable, I believe this could be kind of like considered as a consumable product because they need to use it, often. Now I have to do two jobs, right? For sure, the job of, converting first-time buyers to try the product, but also to continue educating and kind of like, how can I create some sort of a solutions to help the user stick with the habit and not making the user fall off of continuing using the product. Last two, I promise, Rishi.
No, it's good. It's really good stuff. I love seeing the process.
Yeah. This one also from Reddit. It says, recently, I stumbled upon this Solawave when looking at new face. Seems too good to be true, right? So now this person is telling us what he or she is comparing this product with in the decision-making process. But also there's this, some wording around being skeptical about too good to be true, because maybe, Facebook ads or, Instagram ads have oversold the results that the product is getting. So this person is actually showing some skepticism around, this doesn't smell good, right?
Lorenzo, I want to remind people about previous episodes we did. Lorenzo, I don't know if you remember this, but when we did the episode for Hush Blankets, they on their homepage actually had a Facebook review, screenshot of a Facebook review where it started off with skepticism. And I think it's a very clever, even though one thing I don't like about it is it's a screenshot. So it's, it's like, but it's still very effective. If a product is suffering from skepticism, lead in with reviews that talk about skepticism and then say that it's actually worked for them.
Yeah, especially if this is a pattern that you keep on seeing across a lot of different voice of the customer sources like Reddit and YouTube comments and, customer research and so on. So 100%. Last one here, it says, I'm 39 and last year started using NewFace. Again, that competitor company name comes up again in the decision-making process. So now, actually, this is a little bit different. Now we know that this person is considering switching, or I can't remember if it already switched or not, from one product to another one, right? And it says, which I liked a lot, but it was so inconvenient to wash my face. Use the gel during the treatment, and when it washes off, again, before doing the rest of my routine, right? I saw Solawave on Instagram and finally caved about a month ago. Though the microcurrent isn't as strong as NewFace, I definitely like the Solawave better, right? Blah, blah, blah. Now, what this is basically what other competitor company this person is switching from, and the selling angle that you could be using in the ads on the product page, via email if they sign up for a newsletter or whatever, selling angle against that competitor. That's my last piece of data.
I love it. I love it. And I know that there's a surprise, right? So
yeah, there's a bonus one about how to make the before and after much better. I have one conversion idea, one iteration of that conversion idea, and 2 wireframes.
And what do people have to do? What they just have to, what are we getting for this bonus?
Yeah, they can just download it from the notes. One thing I wanted to say, Rishi, if you guys enjoyed this new kind of like format from my side, also from Rishi's side was a little bit different than the classic episode. Just write in the comment. We're always experimenting with different type of content. We have some pretty juicy new episodes coming up. We can't reveal too much because it's still not 100% sure just yet. But again, if you think that this type of new type of content delivers value to you guys, just write in the comment and we'll try to publish more episodes on.
And my only request is that if you have any one friend or any any CEO who is kind of running an e-commerce business where they might have problems that are related to what we covered in this episode, please share it with them. We rely on you to kind of spread the word. All right, guys. See you again soon. Ciao.
Ciao.